Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is riding the waves. Now, I don't know, it could go terribly wrong because I'm not a surfer, but I thought maybe we could use the analogy of surfing to talk about moving through the ebbs and flows of life. So we'll see how it goes. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clear, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing every cell, every organ, bringing vital life energy into your body. And as you exhale, exhale any stress, any tension, any negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And this time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, energizing, electrifying all your molecules and your electrons and connecting you with the world beyond. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining fatigue, exhaustion, negativity, toxicity. And now let's just gently press our palms together, softly, softly, softly. Feel the deliciousness of that sensation. Like, really bring yourself present to how amazing it is to feel that tickling and tingling, and bring yourselves present right here, right now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome. So good to have you here. And Rosalind and Robert and Christina, welcome, welcome. Welcome to everybody else who's joining us. And this is a great way to start the week together. I'm delighted to be here with you. And Maggie is too. She's sitting right here. She's sitting on the computer. And Maggie had an adventure this weekend I should tell you about. I bought her a little bird harness so that I could take her outside with me. And she wasn't a super big fan of the harness, but we did get it on her and it was beautiful outside. So I got to take her outside for her first outside adventure since we've been together. And it was pretty cool. So my intention is that she and I will be able to pretty much go wherever together. So that should be a lot of fun. And it it's a little red harness, so it looks adorable on her. And you can imagine, you can imagine Maggie with this harness, right? Too funny. She was she still is talking to me, so we're in good shape. We'll work it through. Oh, Robert, thank you so much for watching yesterday. So over the weekend, Enlightened World Network premiered a new channel called One with the Earth, and I had a little thing that I did on Sunday at 3 in the afternoon. That's wonderful that you came, Robert. Thank you for that. Good morning, Tammy. Good morning, Irma. Welcome, everybody. So good to be here with you. A new week, and we're coming into spring, and I'm in the Philadelphia area, and we're actually experiencing some spring like weather. Good morning, Dennis. Great to have you here. um, yeah, so I was saying that I took Maggie outside over the weekend for the first time with her little bird harness and leash. It was probably pretty comical to watch, but it was very cool to be able to have her outside and to see the breeze sort of blowing her feathers around a little bit, and it was really cool. So I'm excited about that. Anyway, today's topic is riding the waves, and I was just thinking of life. Not that I'm a surfer. I have never in my life tried to surf. Perhaps you have. I've heard that it's kind of a transformational experience. I know some people who do surfing classes as a transformational experience for people to teach them how to surf in a couple hours, and the power and poise, I guess, that is part of that. So I just was thinking about surfing kind of as a metaphor. Um, Christina says, I love that Maggie went for a walk. Yes, she did. She actually, I put her in the grass. She started picking the grass. She was kind of annoyed. I was trying to give her a treat to deflect her attention from the harness. And she just bit into the treat and threw it away. Like, you think a treat's going to make me feel happy? Are you kidding me? Um, so Robert says, I didn't see the whole show as some of them were starting before the others ended, but what I caught was great. I'm so glad you think so, Robert. I was talking about a concept I have called the unmooring, MORE, and I essentially shifting our paradigm away from the notion that more is better into a paradigm of sufficiency, and this whole idea of commodification, making finding our value from externals rather than intrinsically recognizing our wholeness and our sufficiency. And when we have that experience of wholeness, then we don't have to go outside ourselves to buy things, whether we even buy things or do things to validate our existence, that just by our very nature, we are whole and sufficient and worthy. And when we come into that place, then we can have a greater connection to the world and our impact within it. So thank you for that very much, Robert. And Rosalind says boogie boarding is easier and than surfing and way fun. Christina says, Christina's a longtime boogie boarder. Wow, I might have to try this at some point. Sounds very cool. And Robert says, kind of like returning to simplicity. Absolutely, that's really what it is about, is returning to simplicity. And I want to invite you guys as part of this At One with the Earth or One with the Earth network. I have a show, and it's every Wednesday at, let me just see what time it is. It's Wednesdays at 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern time. And it's starting this Wednesday, and it's called the Sustainability Hour. And I don't have a description up for it yet, but it's really going to be talking about sustainability from a personal and community and planetary perspective. So what is sustainability, and looking at hope, like what's possible, what's available, the new technologies, what is involved with all of that. Because I also have a podcast called Sustainability Now that I've been doing with my business partner for 3 years around sustainability. And we've found so many solutions and things that are hopeful, and have been involved in some initiatives. So we get to talk about all that. I'm so grateful to Ruth Anderson to be able to be bringing these two sides of myself together on her platform. So here's my, in Core Connection, my more spiritually oriented side. And then to be able to be bringing the issues and concerns and considerations of sustainability itself also onto this network. And I just feel that this is a place where I can be fully expressing my whole spectrum of interests and um, concentrations, which is really, really awesome. So Robert says, why we have 30 pairs of shoes when we only have one, why we only need one. So interesting. I've gotten a lot more simple. You see, I wear pretty much the same outfit. I have like four or five of these tops and tights, and that's what I wear through the winter. And I have another kind of uniform through the summer, and it's not always the same. That's not the only clothes I have, but it makes life so much easier also to not have to be figuring out what am I going to wear today, every day, and feeling like you should be wearing something different every day. And when something gets a hole in it, throwing it out rather than repairing it and stuff like that. So anyway, I agree. It is very much about looking at making life simple. There's so much complexity for ourselves right now, so we get to um, simplify on all kinds of levels, and really evaluate our values as to the things that we believe make us worthy, rather than experiencing our own intrinsic worthiness. So anyway, so Christina, let's see. Let- Irma says, great topic, riding the wave. Today I'm in the low part of it. Well, that's the thing about the waves, Irma, is they come in peaks and valleys, highs and lows, and the thing is, it's always changing. So the tide always comes in, and the tide always goes out. And when we're in the low part of a wave, sometimes it's an opportunity to be able to rest. Christina says, honestly, me too, sending love to lift. That's beautiful, Christina. And so great. If you're in the low part of the wave, let's look at how we can move ourselves into how we can ride these waves more readily and more easily. And good morning, Kimberly. Wonderful to have you here. So GP Walsh, Rosalind says, GP Walsh made a comment yesterday during satsang on EWN about a contractor not needing to carry um, all his tools, only the tools needed for the job. Exactly, exactly. And, when we talk about simplicity, that's really kind of the case, is that we don't have to carry all the tools all the time. And Kimberly says, I go to thrift stores and find treasures. Yes, I have done more than my share of thrift store shopping as well. And, it's gotten to the point with, even with the treasures that are at the thrift store, I can enjoy them at the thrift store. It's like my house is filled with plenty of treasures. I don't know that I need more at this point. In fact, I'm looking at reducing a lot of the treasures, and that way I get to say, okay, what are the treasures? I used to buy stuff at the thrift store because it was there, and I was like, oh, okay, it's only $3, I can do that. And I ended up bringing home lots of stuff that I didn't necessarily love, and that I definitely didn't need. So I'm not looking to just be needs based necessarily, but there's a certain freedom when we don't feel that we're not in this acquisitional place. So Rosalind says, along the lines of Robert's comment about shoes, ladies need different ones to get the job done. So we could probably get away with 3 pairs or 4 pairs, that serve different functions, or maybe even 5. But yeah, I'm going to be clearing out shoes too. I pretty much wear the same pair of shoes all winter, and a couple different ones during the summer. So yeah, I think we can be simple, and then we can have things that we really, really adore. Robert says, I'm kind of in the middle of the wave, but I feel like I am the wave. I love that. I love that. So Robert, I am the wave. Um, and we're talking about shoes still. So I'm conflicted here because I wanted to talk about the wave, but we're also talking about sustainability, which is pretty cool. So how about being sustainable for ourselves, riding the wave sustainably? So what does it look like? If we have these ebbs and flows, we have ebbs and flows in our physicality, in our emotions, in our even in our spirit, feeling connected or not connected. And in when we're in the low of the wave, it gives us an opportunity to care for ourselves more compassionately. And Kimberly says, I'm going to grab a surfboard. So yeah, when that when the waves are low, and again, I'm probably going to mutilate this because I'm not a surfer, but I know that there's time when you paddle, when you paddle out to catch the wave, and there's times when you paddle really fast or really hard. And I know that life feels like that a lot of times for us, and realize that ebb and flow is what makes the waves. We don't get to surf the waves if it's just flat seas, right? We don't get to have that wild and exciting and invigorating ride if it's all flat. So Christina says, until yesterday, I thought so too, at least riding it out. Yesterday, I got swamped out. Today, questioning who and what to trust. Sometimes waves are bullies. Well, you know what? Sometimes we try to surf and we wipe out, right? And sometimes we get caught in the undertow of that wave and those changing tides. And what Kimberly says, hanging on, pushing through. Sometimes we get bounded, we just get back out. And Rosalind says, when you wipe out on a wave to recover, you relax so you can tell where up is. And you follow the bubbles to see which way up is. I don't know about you, but I have gotten caught in an undertow and gotten so turned around that I truly didn't know which way was up. And so this is really, really brilliant advice, Rosalind. And this happens for ourselves when we are at the low ebb of that wave. And Kimberly says to everybody, hang in, brighter days ahead. So here's the thing: if we are able to allow ourselves to sort of relax into the flow when we've wiped out on a wave, or when we're in a low ebb, if we can allow ourselves to just be without the judgment, without the panic, without the reactivity, then that enables us to follow the bubbles, to come back up for air. And so I think when we're low, the inclination is to get identify with the low, to get caught up in it, to start believing that that's the way it is and that's the way it's always going to be. And what if I never find my way back up again? And I think there are times when we feel like we're drowning. I know that. The thing that we need to do is to bring ourselves present, and to find that place of balance within, to be able to be forgiving, compassionate of ourselves in those moments when we feel low, because the tendency is to judge our feelings. So not only do we feel miserable at the low ebb, but then we judge ourselves for feeling miserable, and then we get impatient and want to not feel miserable, so we're resisting it, so driving it even deeper. Irma says, I think I get desperate to wait, and in trying to get up again, I make it messy again, and it feels the wave doesn't stop being low. I think you're right, Irma, is that the desperation is part of what makes it persist. So when we're feeling low, it's like, okay, recognize, stand aside or stand back to observe that we're feeling low, and we don't have to make it mean anything. So when we are low, maybe we make up all kinds of stories around it, or like, something's not okay with me, I'm not okay, I'm low. And this means I'm going to be this way for the rest of my life. And what if, you know, it just is a downward spiral. It becomes kind of a vortex of negative energy building on itself. And what we get to do is in those moments that we're low is to see that, to recognize it, to observe it. And in observing it compassionately, maybe we can start speaking things to ourselves that will at least help to comfort us and ease us. Robert says, Robert says, take a deep breath in, not while you're underwater, as a smiley face, and find your calmness to find your way out. And Kimberly says, letting go of control, breath, release, breathe, release control, rest in God, enter into rest. And Dennis says, I'm hanging 10. Today is also National West Virginia Day. Well, that's a non sequitur. Great. Well, happy West Virginia Day. Yeah. So when with this lowness, that's an opportunity and an invitation to be gentle to yourself, to find something that pleases you. You know, if maybe there's a favorite flower that you have access to, find the flower, you know, just to be able to be with the beauty of the flower or the fragrance of it, or you know, allow yourself to sit with your feet in the grass. Grounding is a really powerful, valuable practice. You know, we're talking about surfing, but grounding is also a really wonderful thing. Sit on the earth somewhere, go sit on the grass, put your hands in it, put your feet in it, rub some between your hands and smell it. You know, connect yourself, because Irma, I know for you, connecting to nature is really part of your life force. It is for all of us, but some of us are more consciously aware of that than others. You know, so the feeling low, we can go deeper and deeper into that lowness, or we can just find things to comfort ourselves and gentle ourselves through those times, just like you would a dear friend. You know, you wouldn't beat up a dear friend for being depressed. You would try to do something that would help them be uplifted. Kimberly says, hug a tree. Really? Yes, like connect to nature. Start talking to nature. And it's okay if you do that with tears in your eyes. You know, just invite nature to comfort you, you know, and invite nature to support you, and and be gracious to yourself, and allow yourself to move through that wave. See, here's the thing. I was thinking with this metaphor of riding the waves, there is an ebb and flow, and one doesn't really happen without the other. You know, we can have delicate swells of the water, we can have tidal waves. Sometimes it feels like a tsunami. Christina says, being in nature saves me yesterday for sure. Oh, okay. So saved you yesterday for sure. And now the tree sap is running for spring. Sitting against a maple is nourishing. Well, I love that. You know, how about it? Spring is happening. So there's all this life percolating out in nature, and to be able to presence yourself to it, it kind of connects us to something bigger and broader and more universal, and more pervasive, more just bigger than ourselves, that we can then be part of. So much of the low ebbs that we feel occur as a result of feeling disconnected. So if we can allow ourselves to connect to nature, then it has to lift our heart, because it as we connect to nature, nature is so vast that it has to diffuse the energy of whatever that low feeling is. It just diffuses it, because you're connected and in flow with nature, and there's more movement, more energy moving. It has to shift. And Kimberly says, beautiful, beautiful. I made a garden yesterday. This is in response to Christina talking about sitting against a maple tree. And good for you, Kimberly. There's, watching life. How do you spell herb? I think you're thinking HERB for herb garden, HERB. Um, when we connect to life, plants growing, planting things in the earth, watching things emerge with spring. We're coming out of the winter doldrums. We're coming out of the cold and the contraction into this blossoming, ebb and flow. Yes, EBB, ebb and flow. Um, so we're we do that for ourselves. The we could have just as easily as the surfing metaphor used seasonal metaphor, where there's the transitioning of the seasons, and we're coming into spring. So there's more vitality, there's more evidence of life emerging out of its hibernation into its more vibrant state. And circumstance has an impact on us for sure. The lows and highs of the tide, the pull of the moon, the cycles of the moon and the water, how they affect the water and the tides. So realize that there are many things that are affecting us. And Irma, it's normal given the circumstances and what you've been through really recently. There's an anxiety in building up to a certain event. The event happens and everybody sails through the event, and then afterwards, that's when there's typically a crash. It's pretty normal afterwards to, especially after an emergency, it's very normal to be able to be moving through the emergency effectively and appropriately. And then after the emergency, that's when there's a crash. It's an adrenaline function, where there's a spike and then there's a crash. And so that's also normal. And I think just allow yourself to move through the ebbs and the flows without the judgment, and give yourself compassionate care. So that's really, as far as this surfing, that's where we get to find our balance. We find our balance between our highs and our lows, and finding um, our self-compassion and kindness when things are feeling low. And Irma says, thanks for the reminder. I need to stop generating emergencies. So interesting that you recognize about generating emergencies. I think so many of us do that, and do that in response to when there's not all these swells and waves in the ocean. When there are waves in the ocean, it's exciting, it's invigorating, it's maybe frightening, it's highly emotional, it's highly engaged, right? And when the water is flat, it can be boring, rather than, some people have, I guess we have different tolerances for peacefulness, right? So when the water is flat, that could be very peaceful, and people may find it boring. So, in terms of generating emergencies, I think that some of us do that in our lives to just feel the adrenaline and the energy of that force moving of the waves. And so I'm not saying that you're generating emergencies, Irma, but I think that that's something that a lot of people do. And thank you, Kimberly. And Christina says, closing some circles down. I got a little too trusting. So I just want to address that really quickly, Christina. I think this issue of trust is something that's really important. I think the more that we trust ourselves, the more we can trust our judgment with others. And it may not be that you got too trusting, but maybe you trusted the wrong people, or you entrusted them with the wrong things. And I use the word wrong just because it was an easy word to pull out. But it, it, I think that when we abdicate trust for ourselves and trust others at um, at the expense of trusting ourselves, when we put more trust in others than we do in ourselves, then that's when we can. That's kind of a recipe for trouble. And so I think that sometimes when we have a lack of confidence, we tend to entrust others with our own well-being, and that can result in challenges. So the thing that I know about trust is that in the past, when I have not trusted my gut, that's when I've gotten into trouble. I've overridden my intuitive knowing in the past, and made choices saying, yes, but this person's a good person and I can see how good they are, or they know more than I do. And that's when we get into trouble sometimes. And so Robert says, I know how that can be. I used to trust everyone. Not anymore, though. So, again, trusting. The question that I have for you, and it's an important question, is when you say you're trusting someone, what are you trusting them to do or to be? Right? This is the question. We can say, I trusted you. Well, what did I trust you to do or be or have? Maybe I trusted that you have the same values that I do. That's a huge assumption. It's a huge assumption. We don't get to blame somebody for our assumption that they have the same values that we do. So this is an important thing to explore with people, to recognize, well, do we hold these values in common? And a lot of times those questions or those values are invisible until they are violated, and we don't even think to ask. So that's an important thing to be talking about. And Rosalind says, on Irma's point about awareness of emergency state can make us feel into the fear or anxious, but ask self in the moment, am I safe in the moment now? Thank you for that, Rosalind. That's brilliant. We want to be presencing ourselves to moment by moment by moment. In this moment, am I okay? Because what happens is when we get caught into fear, it's projecting into the future. And when we project into the future, we're not being present. We forget, hey, right now I'm okay. This minute, I can manage this moment. I can manage this moment. I can manage this moment. And Rosalind says, then you can override the emotion of being in danger, emergency, and panic. Exactly, Rosalind. Brilliant. Thank you for that. And Kimberly says, I have to protect myself from my parents, and I adore them so much. So it sounds like what you're talking about, Kimberly, maybe is putting some boundaries in place, having some limitations or boundaries as to what kinds of behaviors or communications or whatever you're engaging with. So this is all part of riding the wave, I think. Robert says, so true. I believe that no two individuals have the same values. And Christina says, right, I really threw caution to the wind. And Mira's right. I assumed the same values, mainly because I was told untrue things that I truly believed, learning lessons. And Robert says that's a great thing to reflect on. Yeah, and Christina, I know, for there's such a deep sense, at least I've experienced in my life, a deep sense of betrayal, even betrayal and disappointment and sorrow and confusion when I find that there is a deep misalignment of values that I have assumed to be in alignment, and and it can be tremendously disruptive on all kinds of levels to have that kind of experience, and to recognize that things were said that weren't accurate, or where people don't meet the expectations that we have for them. Ultimately, we get to recognize I'm the one that had the expectation. Like that's how it should be. Of course, you should think this way. Of course, you should feel that way. And that's kind of a recipe for disaster, I think. Anyway, folks, I really thank you as always for this wonderful conversation, and we covered a gamut here, riding the waves, and a little bit about sustainability and uh, and trust. And it's always such a rich conversation with you. I really appreciate it. And I just want to remind you that Wednesday at what did I say, 1 p.m. Eastern, is going to be the debut of the the sustainability hour on Enlightened World Network. So that should be fun. And I really look forward to sharing that time with you guys if you show up. And until, let's see, Rosalind says, I love hearing Maggie's cooing noises. So I think she's a little chilled this morning. And what she does is she gets on the computer, it's a laptop, because the keyboard's warm, and she lays down, she snuggles down onto the keyboard and to warm herself up. And that's when she was making all her clucking noises. And Christina says, yes, multi-levels are hard, which is why this one is hitting harder. Career, spirituality, friendship. Yes. That might be a topic for another day, multi-levels. I don't know if you mean multi-level business, Christina, or not. Kimberly, have a wonderful day, Kimberly, and everybody else. Thank you, Christina, who's excited for the new show. Robert says, sometimes we believe what people say about other people, gossip, but when we have the chance to really know how that person is, we're amazed. Exactly. That's so true, Rosalind. I mean, Robert. And Rosalind says, and loved our Monday musings. Thank you, Mira, and to everyone else for sharing. And happy Monday from Kimberly. Have a wonderful week. I got my 30 days yesterday. Kimberly, congratulations. That's awesome. Well done, well done, well done. So it's time for celebration. Lots of love for all of you, to all of you. Again, thank you so much for sharing this time with me and Maggie. And hopefully I will see you again here really soon. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. I go live each weekday morning on Enlightened World Network's Facebook page. And I invite you to check out the other wonderful programming on Enlightened World Network, on At One with the Earth, on Enlightened World Living, and just enjoy the rich community and connection. Thanks so much for being here. Lots of love.